Hello everyone, and today under the grammar section and under non-finite series, I'm going to take up participles. I've already made a video on non-finites, gerunds and infinitives. The links of those videos are given in the description box. So just in case you want to brush up what non-finites are, let me tell you that non-finites are those verbs which are not affected by the change in the tense, the change in the subject, number of persons, or singularity or plurality of the subject. So under non-finites, we have this particular thing called as participles. Participles are also called as verbal adjectives because they act like adjectives in a sentence along with acting like a verb. Unlike infinitives and gerunds, where they were called as verbal nouns because they acted like nouns, they named an action, here participles will tell us something about the noun in the sentence, that is subject in the sentence. So let's begin with this session by understanding examples on participles. What are the different forms of participles? What points you should remember when you're using participles, and what are the exceptions? So let's kick off. Let's start with these two examples on participles. Now, as I just discussed, that a participle is an adjective. It works like an adjective. So it should be near a noun. Obviously, let's see whether they are like that or not. I saw a man carrying a bag. Now here the participle is this word, carrying, because it has ing and it is formed from the verb carry. But this carrying acts like an adjective to the noun man. It acts like an adjective, and because this acts like an adjective to the noun man, it becomes a participle. Come to the second one. Get a plumber to fix the leaking tap. Now here you can see that leaking is a participle because it has the ing form here, and it is also defining the noun tap. So tap here is basically a noun to which the word leaking is acting like an adjective. Now in the last session, or in the session of gerunds, I had told you how to differentiate between participles and gerunds, because gerunds also use ing form of the verb. So how do we know the difference? Very simple. Gerunds are used as nouns, whereas participles are used as adjectives. Let's look at an example to differentiate between both of them. Let's look at these two examples. What she hates most is smoking. Now what she hates most, I have the name of the activity here. I have the name here, or the noun. Now here smoking is an activity which acts like a noun because it is naming an action, what she hates most. In the next example, this is not a smoking area. Now if you look here, smoking is again an ing word, but it is an adjective to the noun area. So this smoking here is acting like an adjective to this noun, right? So when this is an adjective and this is a noun here, we have a difference in both these words. We have a difference in the usage. Now that ing word which is used as a noun is called as a gerund. Whereas if the ing word is used like an adjective to another noun, then it is used as a participle. So here we know the difference between gerund and participle. Now let's move ahead to the three types of participles used in our grammar. Talking about the kinds of participles, we have three types of participles. Present participle, which has the ing form of the verb. Past participle, which has the third form of the verb. And perfect participle, which has having and the third form of the verb. Let's look at each of these kinds with examples and also know where all they are used and how they function. A present participle which has verb in the ing form will act like as an adjective. Now remember that we use present participle only when we are talking about an action which is in progress, which is continuing at the time of speaking. Let's look at how these present participles are used in sentences. The first function is as an adjective. I have already discussed that with you, but let's see one more example on this. This is an interesting story. Now here, story is a noun, but this noun is qualified by the adjective interesting. And since it has ing form, acting as an adjective, this becomes a present participle. Right? Now next is as a subject complement. That means it acts like a complement to the subject. The book is interesting. Now here the subject is the book, which is also a noun. Yes, but to this subject, the adjective is acting like a complement. So here interesting is again a present participle acting like a complement to the subject. Similarly, you have object complement also. I saw him entering the house. So here entering is also present participle, but it is acting like a complement to the object. And here the object is him. So here it is acting like a complement. Another use of present participles is to use as an absolute phrase. And here then we use the word being. It being a rainy day, we kept indoors. Or you can also say the teacher being on leave, the students had a good time. Now, present participles can also be used in continuous tenses where we have the ing form of the verb. Just like this, he is playing. So here playing is used as in the form of continuous tense. You've been waiting for a long time. Again here waiting is used in the form of continuous tense. When we are talking about two actions happening, then also we can use present participles. Now in the first case we will see when the two actions are happening together or simultaneously, and in the second case we will see that one action happened and right after that the second one started to happen. So let's look at the examples and you will understand better. He walked away whistling. Now here whistling is a present participle, correct? But there are two actions happening here. One is that he walked away and another action is whistling. And both these actions are happening together or simultaneously. Let's look at the next example. The boy came laughing. Now here laughing is a present participle, but there are two actions again, came and laughing. So came is the first and the laughing is the second action, but both of them are happening simultaneously. But what happens when one action is already in progress and the second one also starts? So let's see. In such a case, we will have a common subject displayed by a present participle. Seeing the policeman, the thief ran away. Seeing here is a present participle. It acts like a subject, but here again we have two actions. One is seeing and another one is running away. So when the first action happened, immediately the second one also happened. So they are not happening simultaneously as such, but right one after the other as a result or as a consequence. Now let's look at the second one. Taking off our shoes, we entered the temple. So taking off here is again a present participle, which is the first action. And what is the second action here is entered the table. So this one is the second action. So in this way, we can use present participle to denote the actions. But remember that present participle will always tell you about the actions which happen continuously or which are in progress at the time of speaking. A present participle can also replace clauses like which start with as, since, or because. Like if you're giving reason clauses, then also you can use present participle there. Like here, fearing that people will recognize him, he never went out. Now here, fearing is again a present participle, but if you change this sentence and make it something else, like if we add, as he feared that people will recognize him, he never went out. Or I can even change the sentence and say, since he feared that people will recognize him, he never went out. Now this as or since has been replaced by the present participle fearing here. So in this way also present participle can be used. Let's now see how to use past participle. So when we talk about past participles, they also act in the same way as present participles, like as an adjective or as a subject complement or as an object complement. Let's look at an example on each. As an adjective is, we have already seen that they have to qualify a noun. So here it can be, a defeated army cannot be inspired with courage. Now past participles will always take the third form of the verb. Like present participle was taking ing form. So here you have to be careful that the verb form has to be in the third form. That is, it may end with ed or en, whatever the case may be with that verb. So here defeated is a past participle. Okay, and it is qualifying the noun army. So here it acts as an adjective. Come here. As a subject complement, how does it work? As a subject complement means she is the subject here, and it is expressing a complement here, which is in the third form of itself. So here it's going to be a past participle form. Come to the third kind of usage, as an object complement. So as an object complement means you have an object, and to that object there is a complement in the form of past participle. Let's see, what is the past participle here? Scattered. Scattered is the past participle, and this past participle is acting like a complement to the object. And what is the object here? Everything is the object. The past participle form of the verb is used when we are combining two actions, but there in one of the sentences we have a passive verb. Look at these two examples here. The principal entered the hall. This is one sentence. He was accompanied by his staff. So this is sentence number 2. When one of the two sentences has a passive verb, at that point of time we will use past participle. So when we combine these two sentences, let's see what comes out. The principal entered the hall accompanied by his staff. So here you can see I have joined the two sentences using a past participle. And what is the past participle in this sentence? Accompanied is the past participle. Let's look at one more example. He came in, he was lost in his dreams. So what is the passive verb here? Was lost is the passive verb in the second sentence. So when we combine, it comes out to be he came in, lost in his dreams. Now here, what's the past participle? Lost is the past participle used, and in this way we can join two sentences using past participle non-finite verb. Now let's look at perfect participle. Now let's understand the third type of participle, that is perfect participle. The format of perfect participle is having and third form of the verb. Now this perfect participle is always used to combine two sentences, or when we are talking about two actions which happened one after the other, which means the first one happened, finished, and then the second one started. So in such a case we will use this participle, and let's see how to combine the sentences. I finished my homework. This is action number 1. Done, completed. I went out to play. So this is action number 2. So after the first one is finished, the second one happened. So if that is the case, then we will start with having and third form of the verb. So we'll start like this. Having finished my homework, I went out to play. So having finished here is a perfect participle. Then look at the next one. I saw my brother off. This is the first action. I came home. This is the second action, right? So two actions happening, one after the other. One finished and then the second one started. So how do you combine this? Using perfect participle. Having seen. This is perfect participle. Having seen my brother off. Don't get confused. Saw off, seen off. Okay? My brother off, I came home. So now here you can see that these verbs are in the third form combined with having. So don't get confused when to use which participle. I'll quickly summarize it for you. Present participle is used for two actions which are happening either simultaneously or the first one started and then after some time the second one also started, which means the first action was still incomplete when the second one started. Past participle is used when in one of the two sentences you have a passive verb. And perfect participle is used when you have two actions where the first action happened, it was completed, and then the second action started. So that's how you combine two sentences using participles, but there is also an exception. Let's look at that. A participle is said to be verbal adjective, which means that it should qualify the noun or pronoun which comes before it, right? Yes. Look at this example. Walking in the fields, a snake bit him. Now what's the subject here? The subject is snake. But where is the participle? Walking. Now walking in the fields, a snake bit him. Do you think the participle is related to the noun here? Or is it actually qualifying the noun snake here in this sentence? No. When you have such a sentence, it is called as misrelated participle. And making a sentence like this is absolutely wrong. So how do you make a sentence out of it? Look at this. Sentence can be made in two ways or corrected in two ways. As he was walking in the fields, a snake bit him. Now here walking comes out to be a present participle. And since I have related as he was, so I already have a noun before it. Or it can also be used in this way. Walking in the fields, he was bitten by a snake. Remember the passive verb condition that I had told you? Yes. So this sentence can also be formed in this way where we have a passive verb. So here we can have walking in the fields, he was bitten by a snake. Or you can also mention another word here at the beginning of it, while. So I can also make it while walking in the fields, he was bitten by a snake. That's all in today's session. It was great to bring out the entire series of non-finites. The links of all those videos which I have made in this series are given in the description box. You can go through them. And if you like my work, please share and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate your support and you being there for me. Thank you very much. Take good care of yourself and see you again in my next video.